Morning everybody, this is Josie with Ozark Mountain Goats. Can't believe it's September already, but that means it's apple picking time. So we've got apples that need to be picked, and later I'm going to show you how we make apple pie in a jar. So let's get started. Pick some apples. Apple is part of Danny's vocabulary. He learned that word when he was a puppy, and he loves them. I think that's it for this little tree. These are called Enterprise apples, and before we moved here we investigated what type of apple would work well for our area, and Enterprise and Liberty were the top two, so that's what we've planted. So this apple tree is picked. I've got 3 more to go, but I think I'm going to do them in batches, that way I don't get too overwhelmed with it. This will be plenty to do what I plan to do today. Before I start cutting up my apples, I want to get the liquid portion of this recipe started. I've got 10 cups of water here, and to that I'm going to add a cup of cornstarch as my thickening agent. I'm just going to mix this in real well before I add everything else. Next, I've got 4½ cups of sugar. And in here I've got 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and a couple of teaspoons of salt. So once you get this mixed up real well, you're going to bring it to a boil and let it cook until it's nice and thick and bubbly. I went ahead and got this started now because I didn't want to have all those peeled apples and have them exposed to the air for too long. So I'll put this on low, let it cook a little bit while I'm getting my apples ready. Now I want to get my apples cored and peeled, and so I've got this thing to help me out here. These turned out pretty well. We had a pretty good harvest on these. These are, again, are called Enterprise, and when we were looking for an apple to plant down here, we looked with the Missouri Cooperative Extension in different places and discovered that Enterprise and Liberty were 2 apple varieties that work well in our area. So that's what we've planted, and that's what these apples are. First thing I'm going to do is get the skins off of these. This is an inexpensive item here, but it works really well. They do make some nicer ones, and maybe someday I'll get one, but for now I'm just going to use this one. And once you get the skin off, then you can use this to remove the core and quarter them. I like my pieces of apple a little bit smaller than the quarter size, so I go ahead and cut them in half, and then once I get all of my apples done, I'll be ready to fill the jars. While the liquid pie filling is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and fill up my jars. And your jars need to be sterilized. This is a hot water bath method here. So you'll just fill your jars full. You want to pack it down there pretty firmly with as many apple slices as it'll hold. And then you will top up the jars with the liquid portion of your recipe. I don't know exactly how many apples this takes, but I actually did weigh out about 8 pounds of unpeeled, uncored apples. So we'll see how far this takes me. I believe my recipe said you needed 6 pounds, but I don't know if that meant once you took the skins and the core out or not, so we're gonna find out. Seems like I never have enough when I'm doing this recipe. This is really, really handy when you need something in a hurry. A few years ago when we still lived up north, we had a really bad winter, and our neighbor came across the road and plowed us out a couple of times when Jim was gone. And so I was able to pull some of this pie filling out of storage and have a pie baked and on their doorstep within about an hour. So it's really nice to have stuff like this on hand. So once I get these filled and packed tightly, then I'll be topping it up with the liquid. Once your syrup is thick and bubbly, you want to add 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. Next, I'm going to pour it in a pitcher to make it easier. This syrup is really hot, so be careful. You'll need to take your plastic knife and go around the edges and make sure you get all the air bubbles out. Be sure to leave an inch of headspace. And by the way, I had to cut up a few more apples, so I would say you're going to want to start out with maybe 10 pounds or so raw apples, and it'll take probably 6.5 pounds once they're cut up and peeled. This smells good. Okay, just take your plastic knife. Like I said, go around the edges, get all the air bubbles out. And when that's done, you're ready to clean the edges of the jars and add your lids. This is pretty sticky, so you want to make sure you get your edges cleaned really well. Now we're ready for lids. All right, you want your lids to be fingertip tight. And this will process for 20 minutes in a hot water bath. And then you'll be all done. Yum, this is looking good. Okay, there you go. 7 quarts of apple pie filling. I will add this recipe at the bottom of the video, so if you're interested, please check it out. I hope this has encouraged you, if you've never tried canning apple pie filling before, to give it a try. Also, another great way to use this in a recipe is to make it like you would a pineapple upside down cake. I have taken a jar of this and dumped it into a 9x13 pan, and then you just take whatever cake filling that you think would be you know, a nice complement to it, and pour that on top. You could do apple cake or spice cake or yellow cake or anything like that, and then bake it like you would a pineapple upside down cake, and then invert it when it's all done, and it's really, really good that way. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Maybe it's given you some good ideas. Please be sure to like us and subscribe.